A very good evening, everyone. I'm really grateful and delightful that you guys are giving your valuable time to this event. Our event today is not just about information, it's about creating an engaging and interactive experience for all of you. So keep your questions ready in the chat box. We have a special Q&A for you guys at the end. So be ready for it. As this is our session 7 for Remote Revolution, so many of you must have attended our sessions earlier, but for the people who are attending this session for the first time, let me take a few minutes to introduce you guys to our series, Remote Revolution. So, Remote Revolution is an initiative that we have taken on behalf of Uplers. At Uplers, our mission is to create opportunities by streamlining the hiring process for leading remote brands, making it reliable, simple, and fast. As part of this initiative, we bring together speakers from top-notch companies such as GitLab, Twilio, Atlassian, Airbase, and many more. These speakers share insights about their organization, shedding light on their company culture, how they successfully implement remote work, and significantly, what's the job interview process entails. It's not just about landing the interview, it's also about excelling in it. Cracking an interview is just the beginning. Once you have secured that remote job, the next challenge is to thrive in it. So today, our focus is to provide a comprehensive understanding of these aspects. Moving forward to the session agenda, we are honored to have Nikshep from Airbase. He will take us through his personal journey. He'll share insights into his role in product management, the unique culture that shapes Airbase, and his experience working with the remote team. Following that, we'll explore the intricate hiring process at Airbase, understanding the nuance of their remote culture and uncovering the core values that drive their organization. Next on the agenda, we'll address the critical questions. What skill does it take not only to succeed at Airbase, but also to stand out during the selection process? We'll get valuable tips on how to navigate the hiring landscape at a top remote company. So let's deep dive into the session, starting with Nikshep's journey. Currently, he's the Director of Product Management at Airbase. So let's hear from Nikshep himself a little bit about his journey and how he ended up as the Director of Product Management at Airbase. Over to you, Nikshep.
Hey, thanks, Divya. Hey, guys. So from a journey perspective, it's been close to 18 years for me working in the industry, and I started my career as a software developer in a big IT services company. It was called as Computer Sciences Corporation back in the day. It's now being rechristened to DXC. And I got hired directly from campus, joined that organization, stayed there for 5 years, I think a little too long than I would have liked. Post that, honestly, I was getting very bored. I was very confused in terms of what to do in life. And somehow I got a call from two IIT-IM grads who were trying to create a new company, and they were running an office out of a basement, a garage basement. And I took a leap of faith, and I kind of joined that garage startup as the first software engineer in that organization. Spent close to a decade over there, started my journey as a software engineer, led multiple projects over there. And then finally, at one point in time, I got really excited by product management. And it was more of an organic journey for me. So when you when you join a very young organization, what happens is the founders are very busy in either selling the software themselves to customers, or either they are trying to raise funds. And they give you a very high-level, broad overview of what the product is about, what the problem they're solving. And what ends up happening are they're too busy, and the engineers themselves try to go and solve problems for customers directly. So very early in the days, we had CTS as a customer. So they used to call me directly, and then we used to build out products in 2-3 days and just ship it to them and then get feedback. So that really got me into a habit of understanding user experiences and user problems and customer problems. Then, so because I was a very core member, a very early member in the organization, so I ended up talking to a lot more different folks, from support to content to marketing. So what really excited me about product management was that it is all about problem solving, and technology could be one of the tools which will help you solve these multiple problems across multiple stakeholders. And how, in a sense, the core product in itself is helping you solve these problems across these different personas. And that is what I kind of like to do on a daily basis, and that's what I love. So at one point in time, the folk came in. My co-founder, CEO, said that, "Hey, Nikshep, what do you want to do?" The CTO said, "Do you want to do engineering or do you want to do product management?" And then I chose product management as my career path going forward. Post that, I worked in Metal, multiple products, multiple stages of product. Metal got acquired in late 2018 by Mercer. Mercer is a very big HR services organization. And post that, I was getting confused in terms of if I can actually live a corporate-ish life or not. And then I decided to move on, and I joined Airbase and Airbase is a remote organization. And that was one of the primary criteria for me to actually join Airbase. So currently in Airbase, I'm a product director, and I lead a product module. I have a team of 7 PMs and 4 designers who work with me, and the team is expanding. So yeah, that's at a high level. That's about me.
Great, great. Your journey is so inspiring. Starting as a software engineer and then moving into a leadership role, you have really shown your dedication and skills. Truly inspiring, I must say. So, moving on, let's talk about Airbase. What Airbase does, it's essential for applicants to understand the company they're applying to. Because a lot of time in interviews, it is expected from the candidates that they know about the company, what the company does at the core. And while a lot of information is available, it's always important to know some statistics about it. So, over to you.
Yeah. So Airbase, it was founded in 2017 by Tejo Kote, and Tejo, he's a resident of America, but he's an Indian citizen. This is his second startup, actually. He had actually sold one startup before starting off Airbase. And when he was actually working on that particular startup, he faced this issue firsthand as a customer, as a user himself, and which was, hey, I am a CEO of an organization and I have to spend money to make money. So I have to spend on software, I have to spend on Zoom, for example, in this case. And how do I manage this spend? How do I make sure that I'm not burning my cash indefinitely and there is very low visibility? And that is what the product in itself is. We call ourselves a spend management platform. What it means is, for businesses, we give you a software through which you can organize your spend. So someone like an employee can come in and say, hey, I want to ask for some reimbursements. So I'd taken a cab ride because I'd gone for an offsite, and because it was on company's time, so I want that money back. So we have a solution for that. Or, for example, if you bought a software like Zoom, and you're trying to pay for Zoom via a credit card which you have, so you can create a Zoom specific card in Airbase, which will be like a virtual card. It's not physically there, it's not physically present, and you can assign some control on it. When I say control, you guys would be familiar with all the controls that you have on your physical cards now, that, hey, don't allow to spend more than 200 rupees or whatever. So all those controls are also available in the product. And then the biggest use case which I own is there is an invoice being raised by a services company like your rent, and you want to pay it. So you'll pay it through your bank account. So all these 3 products combined together is effectively what Airbase is. It's a fully remote org. Most of our team is R&D focused, but we sell to only the North America market. As it said, we process close to $750 million on a monthly basis. We have over 1,000 customers, and we are growing at a very good pace. Effectively, we serve the office of the CEO. What it means is that uh, uh, the product is going to be taken out from a budget from the office of the CEO. The CFO will be actually be paying for this. And from a detail perspective, we started as a card management software, which I kind of explained that you want to pay Zoom, you can create a card. And now we've been able to create more and more horizontal workflows on top of it. We are very focused on the corporate mid-market of the US. And till date, we have raised close to $90 million. And we have partnerships with Amex, SVB, and Travel Perks. What it means is that you can actually create an Amex card from Airbase itself. So these are very tight-knit, deep integration partnerships that we have. So we are promoting their business, their card business, and they're selling our product as well at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Airbase growth in such a short span is indeed remarkable and speaks volume about the company's success. So now that the people have a fair idea about Airbase, what Airbase does and how it does, but how could you describe the culture at Airbase? As we all know, culture plays a very crucial role in shaping a company's identity and success. It sets the tone for how employee interacts, collaborate, and innovate. And I'm sure our audience is eager to learn about the unique culture that drives Airbase achievements.
Yeah. So Airbase is a Silicon Valley funded, Silicon Valley headquartered organization. And I was coming from an organization which was in India, right? We were an Indian founded organization. And I found that there is a structural difference and a cultural difference between the way the two geographies work. It could be that a lot of people are adopting it in India as well. At my stage, I did not see it, but from a culture perspective, it's much more open. It's very, very transparent. So these are the set of values that we have in Airbase, and control your destiny without transparency becomes very difficult. Control your destiny or our destiny, what it means is that we want to make decisions that we can have control over. There is no board that is actually pushing us that we need to do this or that. And for us to be effective on that, there has to be a lot of transparency in terms of even the financial health of the organization. So if you look at it, control your own destiny and be nice and be frugal are very, very similar. They're very combined in certain ways, because to be frugal as well, you need to be very aware of what the financial health of the organization are, what are we dealing with. And being nice is all about making sure that there is a lot of respect across the board. And as we are a remote organization, we have to give more context to people. It cannot be a very direct message, because people will not understand where are you coming from. So you have to be very so that is effectively being nice and frugal, and that is part of what we are. We tend to over communicate, we tend to share a lot more data. Everything is very, very documented, and that helps us being able to move mountains as a small team, because we are able to share context across the board very, very quickly. And there is autonomy. So because small teams can only move mountains until they're empowered to do so. So the value which we have is that we have to do everything with urgency, and we have to be decisive, which means that we have effectively certain decisions that we can take of our own responsibility. One of the keywords that my boss gives to me is that instead of asking for approval, you can ask for forgiveness. So he tends to promote me to ask for forgiveness, that I've done it, and now and I'm sharing it with you. Obviously, at times we are a remote organization. There are a lot of different cultures across the board. So we need to make sure that we are set up really high standards and we are able to take ownership at the right time. We have to pick up one loose end and say, hey, this is mine. Don't worry about it, guys. I'll take it forward. And we obsessing about making our customer happy is a habit, honestly speaking. I listen to at least 1 hour of customer calls on a daily basis. I will be talking to customers at least 3 times in a week. So we are very obsessed with what our customers are talking about, what are they saying, and then we try to improvise on top of it. And lastly, it's a remote organization. Everybody has different aspects to it. So one of the most important culture or values that we have is that strongly opinions weakly held. So even if we have opinions, we need to come to the right action or agree to an action. And that's the reason why it's very tight. Strong opinions weakly held, disagree and commit. They're very, very tightly coupled to each other. So you have to let go of your opinions and disagree and commit to actions at certain times. So it's a great culture. It's very open, very fully committed, very transparent. So one of the nicest thing which I like about Airbase is the transparency. It's very, very hard to see.
Yes, I agree with you. Transparency is must and great. It indeed sounds fascinating. Like I completely agree that small teams can make a big impact and strong opinions weakly held in things philosophy is is just a key for fostering adaptability and progress. So, considering your role as a product management director, I'm curious for someone aiming to excel in product management, what initial areas should they focus on? Additionally, how can they actively develop these foundational skills to succeed in product management? Your experience and guidance would be incredibly valuable for anyone aspiring to thrive in this field.
Yeah, sure. So product management, as I mentioned, what I loved about product management is solving problems. A lot of times, people tend to think that we are we are in the job of creating features. Features is a solution. The problem is the key to it. So always think about problems first. You guys would have heard about something called as the first principle. The first principle is in fact the same thing. You have to talk about problems. You need to look at it, that what is the core problem that you're talking about. And that's the first thing. Now, how do you do that? How do you practice it? Is by asking a lot of questions. So a lot of different frameworks are available in the market. You can read about the 5 whys, which is very simple. If someone tells you, hey, I want to, why can't you build me, why can't you create this button on Zoom? Or let's say, for example, you have Zoom right now in front of you and someone will say, hey, can you please give me another button called as leave meeting in 10 minutes? All right. Now, as a PM, your job is to not say yes to it. At the first day, you have to actually, if you use the 5 why framework, then you have to ask the same question 5 times. Why do you want it? And then you go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into understanding what is the core need for it. And so that's number one. That's the first very important thing as a product manager, which you have to do. The second thing is you have to be the voice of your customer and the user all the time. You need to understand them deeply, and you typically understand them deeply by asking them these questions and try to understand where are they coming from. And once you start doing it, answers relation to how they will react to a certain situation will come to you automatically, and that is insight. But it doesn't stop there. But you have to remind everybody else in the organization. if the customer will like it or not, because everybody's trying to take some decision based on the user or the customer. It could be a simplistic decision of what color the button is going to be, or what will be the copy of the button. Should it be leave meeting or leave? It could be multiple things. So you have to be that voice all the time. You have to tell folks and educate them that they will not like it, or they will like it, or they will love it. Another aspect about product management, which I think is important to share across the board, is that we have accountability, but we don't have any authority. What it means is that I will be working with a set of engineers. I will be working with a set of designers. I will be working with a set of sales team members, but none of them actually report to me. The designer is reporting to the head of design. The engineer is reporting to the EM, who's reporting to the CTO. The sales guys are reporting to the CFO or the CRO. So the only thing which I have is to motivate them and influence them. And for you to do that, you have to sell. You have to sell everything every day. In fact, in my opinion, product managers are biggest salesmen across, bigger than the salespeople which you have in your organization itself, because you have to sell your vision. You have to sell your own module. You have to sell your own feature every single day, so that people are convinced that this is the right thing to build. Other detail is that you are a product manager and you're thinking from a long-term perspective about everything. So every decision which you take today will have an impact on the product and the business 6 months down the line, most likely. So don't think about short-term decisions. Think about long-term decisions. And it's more of a habit building thing as well. So tactic and strategy are the two words which you guys would have heard about. So tactical decisions are mostly decisions which are reversible. Strategic decisions are not reversible, but you have to think strategically. What is the long-term thing? What is the long play that you're trying to make? And the last thing which I encourage my PMs to do, and we do it very effectively, is to focus on outcomes, not outputs. A very simple example is if, for example, the Zoom explanation, right? That I want a button which says leave in 10 minutes, right? So the output is creating that feature, that I launched this feature. But that is not your job. Your job is that what happened post it, which is the outcome, which is equivalent to saying, so many customers use this feature, which led to an increase in our Google Play Store rating, or which increased our reviews. There is a positivity of reviews. So that is the outcome which you're trying to chase from that feature. The feature is just a stepping stone for that outcome. So focus on outcomes, not on outputs.
Great. So, for someone looking to crack a product management interview, what's the best way to prepare? Like any material that would ask, like you would ask the people to refer to while they prepare for the tech rounds?
Yeah, so product management rounds sometimes have technology rounds to it, but I've shared this list of videos. But yeah, what you can start off with is have a look at this book called Cracking the PM Interview. It's available on Amazon. You can find multiple ebooks to it. It will walk you through a journey of what all different questions are being asked for a product manager. That is a good start for you to understand what it takes. But what would really help and accelerate you is prep. Do multiple preparation rounds with peers, with mentors. And this is important because product management interviews, there is a lot of subjectivity to it. To be honest, there is no wrong answer at times. So it is very, very subjective. It's not like in software engineering round, which is like black and white in certain ways, that, hey, this is the right solution. So it's subjective in nature. So make sure that you do a lot of preparation work, look at sample videos, try to practice it out, try to record yourself, and then re-listen to yourself in terms of how you are answering a particular question. So that's very, very important. Another part is that do your homework on the organization you're interviewing with. Don't go blank. So if you're applying for Airbase, we would love it if you tell us what all do you already understand about Airbase, and that's true for all organizations. Brevity is very important, and brevity is basically how do you land your answer in as much less amount of words that you can use, and that comes with practice again. So try to answer the same question, record it 3-4 times, and listen to yourself and try to cut it. So take some practice. Another important point is around share your impact stories. When I say impact, this is again outcomes, not outputs. So the impact that you made on the organization, that because of me, we were able to acquire 15 customers in 3 months. Earlier on, there were no customers. So the impact is very, very important in all these stories. And the last and most important part is prepare for questions that you want to ask the interviewer. The reason why I'm saying prepare, typically people don't pay attention to this, but at the end of each and every round, there will be 10 to 5 minutes reserved for you to ask questions to the interviewer. And that is, even if you had a very bad interview round, you can turn things around by showing your curiosity about it, and you can stir the interview to your direction. But you have to prep for it. You have to prep in terms of what will be a good question that I need to ask. And yeah, there are sample videos which I've shared. I guess Divya will be sharing it with you, so you guys can have a look.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, great. So, to all the people who are asking in the chat box, we'll definitely share all of these content to you guys just after the session. So don't worry about that. And I'm sure everyone here is curious about the interview process at Airbase. So could you share some more details about what candidates can expect in terms of stages, key focus areas, or any unique aspects that make it stand out? And in this slide, I guess, is a process that Nikshep will deep dive into. And it's amazing. You guys can take notes of it. And let's go for it.
Yeah, so I think we have a very lean way to hire a PM, and we have intentionally kept it. And the reasoning behind it is that we found that the longer the interview process is, the longer the interest of the candidate also wavers, and there is a fatigue to the whole cycle. So we kept, as you can see, there are like 5 primary rounds, and the last is the offer round, offer part of it. And the first 2 rounds are just someone from our team, the recruitment team, calling you and trying to gauge more interest in terms of that, is there a fitment or not. And then the third, fourth rounds are the technical rounds. The third round is most likely a hiring manager round, in which the hiring manager will be actually talking to you and trying to understand from you the fitment. And over here, it's all about your product management journey. So we will be evaluating you on all product management fundamental skills like prioritization, road mapping, backlog management, problem solving, problem identification, all these details. But we are trying to assess you through your experiences. We typically don't give you scenarios in this particular round. We tend to understand what has been your journey and how you can contribute to us from that journey. The unique round is actually the 4th round, which is an interesting round as well. It is a take-home assignment round, and we tend to give you 10 days to basically share with us a roadmap for a product problem statement that we have given you. And actually, that problem statement is not, from our perspective, it is not a problem statement that we give it to you. You have to actually create your own problem statement effectively. The reason why it's unique is because, number one, we help you provide guidance sessions from some of the PMs themselves. So because it's a very abstract round in itself, so you can actually have as many as 3 to 4. I've seen people having 4 different guidance sessions. So the job of the guidance session is that I am there in front of you, and you can ask me if I'm going in the right direction or not. If this is something which will be effective for me to crack this round or not. And you can have multiple rounds of this. And at the end of it, what you do is you submit your assignment, take-home assignment, and then some of the panelists will actually come over there and do a workshop with you in terms of the assignment itself. Consider it like a product review session, or if you guys are software engineers, consider it like a review session of code review session itself, in which people are actually punching holes in your assignment and you have to then react to it. And the reason why I'm saying it is unique, because we are not creating a problem statement. We are asking you to create one. And the reason behind it is typically a lot of organizations are creating problem statement and sharing it with you guys. What could happen if you do that is we would have a bias, because we know that problem so deeply that we might just create a bias. So just to remove those biases, we tend to make it more open-ended. And then there is the values round. The values round is basically articulation. It would be either with the CPO or the CEO of Airbase, and it will be articulation of our values, and then the VP of product or the CEO trying to understand you more better in terms of what it will take for us to make you successful in the organization. And the last one is an offer round, in which we try to figure out what's the right designation and package that we can give to you guys.
Great. So the way you have explained the process is amazing. As a candidate now, even if I apply, I know what to expect and how to prepare myself for the interview. The efforts and everything, the way you kind of suggested in the way, it will help people organize and visualize things. It's really amazing. So I think that's certainly suitable for any interview, not just Airbase. Like it's just a generic process, which I guess most of the companies follow. So a lot of people had questions about the available roles. So in the next slide, we have 2 sections. Yeah, okay. So we have 2 sections, that is active jobs and passive jobs. So active jobs are the ones which are currently available, which are open and it is available on the websites. And the passive roles are the one which is not currently open, but for in the upcoming quarters or in the near future, some of these roles may also open up. So over to you, Nikshep, your thoughts on these roles and things.
Yeah, so we are growing as an organization. There's a lot of work that we have to do. So yeah, we are looking at all R&D roles right now. So product designers and software engineers and product management roles as well in it. So looking forward to seeing if you guys have interest in Airbase and looking forward if you are going to apply for these kind of roles in the organization.
Okay, so I think people have few questions, and let's move to the Q&A round and take questions. We already have many questions in the chat box already, so let's start with it. So we had a question. People give us a brief, please give us a brief roadmap for shifting from a service-based IT to product-based company.
So there's no specific roadmap per se. I would say what you should do is you should focus on the core skills that you have. Because in services and in product organization, the difference could be that in services organization, a lot more emphasis could be on versatility of an engineer, which means that you can actually go and work on multiple different kind of projects. Whereas in product organization, there is a far more depth expected from folks. So even if you know one language, even if you're a JavaScript or a front end engineer, you have to excel in it. So so instead of focusing on learning a lot new skills, just try to go deeper into it. And a lot of resources are available online for you to do that. And once you're able to do that, then it's all about application. I don't think so there is a specific criteria why people would say no to services folks. It's all about your skills in itself.
Yeah, great. So there is one more question. Is product management only for software engineers or any tech enthusiasts?
Yeah, it's for anybody and everybody. If you look at it, the primary skill which I talked about was most focused on problem identification, not even solution. So problem identification, collaboration, those are very, very important skills. If you have an understanding of engineering, it is an advantage because you are interacting with engineers a lot more. So if you're able to relate to what basically help them get comfortable with you, it helps. But it doesn't mean that you can't actually understand their language. Engineering in itself is logical in nature, so it doesn't matter. So product management is for everybody, to be honest. Anybody can go and do it.
Yes, agreed. So there is one more question. As a product manager, not all times our features or products work as expected or fail. How does Airbase handle those situations?
Yeah. So the definition of failure could be at multiple levels. So I'll try to I will be articulating it based on the different failure situations that you might be referring to. I'm not too sure which one are you referring to primarily, but let's start with the first one. The first one is more simplistic. The solution itself is not working as per the requirements of the customer or user, which means that they had asked for that I want to leave Zoom in 10 minutes time. But you have created a feature which doesn't work on like that. It's like, okay, can you remind me about a meeting in 10 minutes time? So the problem statement in itself is different. So if you have ever faced such kind of a challenge, to be candid, I have faced certain challenges as well. I'm working in a fintech organization who serves the accountants, and I didn't know anything about accounting when I joined Airbase. So we made a report wrong. So the only way to solve such kind of situations is to be responsive, acknowledge that this is in fact an error, acknowledge it in front of the customer, be transparent of why this has happened, and try to solve it as soon as possible. If you're able to solve it, which would actually increase more trust in your ability from the customer perspective as well, because you listened to them, you agreed that there was a fault, and you acted on it. And they would love it if you are able to turn around all this feedback faster and quicker. So that's one kind of a failure. The other kind of a failure is we launched a feature, it worked according to the problem statement, it should solve that problem, but people are still not using it. What is wrong? Now, that's that particular thing, you would have to actually dig a lot deeper into it, because there could be multiple layers of answers to it. Is it discoverable? Are people able to easily understand where do they find this feature? If they are not, okay, how do you help them understand that this feature is available? How do you communicate it to them? Do you push out a email telling them, hey, this is a new feature, it'll be very super helpful for you, why don't you look at it? Or do you show some sort of a pop-up as soon as the user comes in and say, hey, this is a new feature? So that is enablement effectively. So you said, okay, I've solved out enablement, but still the feature is not being used. Okay, then did we actually create the feature, but we are not able to attract the customers or the user who would like to use it? Then it becomes a marketing problem. That, oh, we created this feature, but we've not been able to attract those customers till date. So there could be multiple layers to it, and as you go deeper and deeper, and that's what product management is about. You might end up going and saying that, oh, the sales people are not even selling this feature. You might just find that out. So that's a journey, but the level of failures can be very, very different, and the kind of failure that you see are very, very different.
Right, agreed. So we have another question. What role do you see emerging technologies playing in the future of product management?
Can you say that question again?
Yeah. What role do you see of emerging technologies playing in the future
Okay,
of product management?
emerging technologies and the role of product management. Yeah, great question actually. Um, so I think I'll take an example of the biggest emerging technology everybody is trying to wrap their head around on is generative AI, right? So from a product management perspective, um, the interesting bit about product management is that we don't have really hard skills, right? So hard skills are, can you code? Hard skills are, can you create a design? Can you beautify this PPT, or can you create a really great interface? These are hard skills. And effectively, all these generative AI technologies are enabling, not at 100% level, probably at a 5% level, to solve these problems, right? That someone can help you code now automatically, or someone can actually help you design stuff automatically. So PMs can be far more independent going forward. And the reason why I say that is because the core job of the PM is to get that insight, right? To identify that problem, to get that insight of what is needed. So if you're able to work on that core job role, these emerging techs will help you only accelerate in terms of impact, because you can fundamentally go and create your own little tool which you can launch to your customers, and that could have an impact in itself. So it is actually a great enabler for PMs, in my opinion. Yeah, and the other things are much easier as well. So if you go to ChatGPT, data analysis is something which you can do very easily on ChatGPT now. I personally tried it; it's great, and it really helps you cut away the time which you take to talk to a data analyst or a business analyst to get some insights. So all of these tools are just enabling us to move faster and faster.
Yes. Okay. So again, a question which is from my side, and it is like, as you're working remotely, and we guys are also working remotely. So while working remotely, what things should we learn or unlearn?
Yes. So I'll talk in terms of my own experience over here. I was working for 15 years before joining Airbase in a co-located workspace, and then suddenly I joined an organization which doesn't even have an office across the globe. There is no office anywhere. It was hard initially for us to apply for loans, and then they had to create a new office. But yeah, that's a funny story. But The primary thing which I kind of unlearned and learned was asynchronous communication. Now, what is exactly, you would have read about it, or you would have seen this word asynchronous communication. And so what is exactly asynchronous communication? The asynchronous communication is that uh, you can't tap someone on the shoulder and they will respond to you, and you will get an answer right then and there. And uh, just to change that expectation was a key. That is something which I had to unlearn, that people can take 12 hours to respond, but they will respond. So you would have to unlearn getting fast answers to your question. People are working in a different geography. People are working in different schedules in their lives. Some of my R engineers work in the night. So even if I ping someone in the morning, they will only reply in the night. I know that now. So that was a big unlearning thing for me. That hey, I cannot expect folks to reply back as soon as I push out. Which means effectively, what you have to learn to plan. You need to learn to plan to be effective as a remote worker. And what do I mean by plan? So because you know for a fact that this person is not going to reply to you in the next 12 hours. So how do you plan on these minute nuances? And it has a larger impact across the board for you. The third thing, which is very, very important, is to over communicate and set context, which means anytime you can't ask someone a question like, hey, what have you done this work? So, or hey, can you help me understand this better? So people will get confused in terms of, okay, what do you mean by understand? There is just so much depth to it. So you have to give far more context in a co-located workspace, because you're talking face to face. You can say this, okay, can you help me understand this? And you're like, okay, what do you want to understand? And then you can have a conversation about it, right? But over here, because it's async, again, you have to be elaborate. And I think you guys are doing it because you're giving me context all the time with all these questions. So you are kind of understand that aspect. But yeah, so the communication bit is very important, and planning is very important. And the third thing is documentation. Uh, People tend not to do documentation when you are in the same work environment, but as a remote worker, documentation is extremely important, and it gives you good amount of time to also think through of how do you want to work on a specific problem. As an engineer, as a product manager, it doesn't matter. It works both ways.
Yeah, great. That's really helpful. And we have another question. Like someone is asking, is it necessary to have tech graduate? Um, or is it fine if somebody is a digital marketing expert and he want to switch to product management?
So yeah, as I said, you don't need to have uh, a technical understanding of it. I think if you've been a digital marketing person, you understand technology in some form or the other, anyways. So you can always go ahead and apply. Just make sure that you are working on the key skills of problem identification, outcomes, and all those details. Uh, but yeah, you can go ahead and and pursue a career in Broadway.
Yes, great. So there is one more question, which is, shall we go deeper into the existing tech skills or learn some new emerging tech for entry point as a PM?
So interesting question. Actually, I don't have a very good answer, honestly speaking. I can share my opinion. I'm not sure if it is the right thing or not. And my opinion is that you need to understand the fundamentals of any technology, be it old school technology, be it emerging technology. So, for example, uh, LLMs or generation AI or generative AI, it didn't happen overnight, right? They took a lot of time to come to this place. So if you're able to understand how it all works or the process of coming to it, that is good enough. So you don't need to go deeper and say that, hey, I'm going to create my own LLM if you want to be a PM. You just need to understand how it works to have a good conversation with an engineer on top of it. And yeah, the more technology you can understand, it is better for you. But yeah, my only perspective is, if you're trying to learn any technology, just look at the fundamentals, how it works. A simplistic example is, I'm not too sure how many of you folks know that how does website works. When I was an engineer at Metal, I had to do a 2-hour session with folks, PMs as well, just to make them understand when you type google.com, what happens in the background for you to get that page in front of you. So you need to understand the fundamentals. As long as you understand those fundamentals, everything else will be much easier.
Great. Thank you for answering that. So let's take the last question for today. So, what advice do you have for the tech professionals preparing for interviews at top remote brands?
Actually, can you say that question again?
Sure. Fine. So, what advice do you have for the tech professionals preparing for interviews at top remote brands?
So I think it's back to the basics. Make sure that you are aware of the organization itself. What do they do? You have done the homework in terms of what is the organization stand for, what is the role for. And once you're able to piece these two pieces together, you would see there is always an option of a cover letter. And once you're able to figure these two parts out, you should be able to create a cover letter in itself. A cover letter is a great introduction about your keen interest in that organization. And if you want to really share, you should be very honest in terms of why do you want to do remote work. Everybody understand that there could be personal situations, or there could be personal choices that, hey, I want to live a digital nomad life. So if you're true to that, and if you're able to share how you uniquely are able to be are fitted for that particular role in that organization, that should cover it all, and and you can articulate it through a cover page in itself. So yeah, do the homework in terms of what the organization is, do the homework in terms of what the role is, and try to map it out in terms of why you are uniquely fitted through that mode.
Okay, so I think that's it for today. And really appreciate all the insights you have given to us, and somewhere they are really important for all of us. And thank you, you took out the time out to help the community grow, to help our tech community become more and more employable and get better remote opportunities as well. We really appreciate that.
And thank you guys. Thank you for taking out time and interacting with me today.
Yeah. So for the people, there are a couple of next steps which we have, but yeah, rest assured we would be sharing details which Nikshep shared in a slide, and everything which is related to this session over WhatsApp and social media with all of you guys. And we looking forward for more such amazing sessions. And you will find the Airbase open roles posted on Uplers. You can visit Uplers website, and also you can visit Airbase websites. You can find all roles there too. And we'll be sharing all the recordings and many other materials on our LinkedIn via email and on our other social platforms as well. So stay tuned. Looking forward to conducting such sessions. And thank you everyone who have joined today. We're really, really grateful that you could join, like you spend your time in this session. And thanks everyone.